Flight training manual. I don't know where I'd find out about wing contamination. Wait a minute. Yes, I do know. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and I'm going to be talking today about wing contamination in my basement. So, the other day I was on the Twitters, and I do have a Twitter handle, superpilotish. Graham Wilson, superpilotish. Check it out. And I was looking at it, and something came up, and I just couldn't remember who posted it, who tweeted it, but it was somebody that was flying somewhere in the United States, and he said, "Is my wing contaminated?" Something like that. And he took a picture of the wing of his airplane, and it was the wingtip was kind of dark, and the wing was white, but it looked like there was they had some sort of a rain and mud and dust and stuff like that was blowing around, and it ended up landing on his plane. And so in the tweet, I wish I could remember who the guy was. Maybe this will find his way to him. So he was saying that everything he was looking at for wing contamination had to do with ice and snow, and yeah, that's the most common form. But if you then that got me thinking of there's other ways that you could have a contaminated wing, and it's not necessarily from winter weather. So I was trying to find. There was the number that was in my head. It was like 30% and 40% lift drag reduction because of something something, and it's this number that has to be like it's on your private pilot exam in Canada, anyways. Your private pilot exam, your commercial pilot exam, your ATPL exam, your flight instructor rating exams, both of them. Like it's on every single one because it's so important. And so I just looked it up, and it was in a publication that was put out by Transport Canada. So anytime they get it, Transport Canada has an exact number in one of their publications, you can count on that being on a test, because you can't dispute that. If you say, "Oh well, no, I saw this other study here," and they say, "No, here it is. It's right in the Transport Canada book." Okay, they got you. You lose. So, and you should have known it in the first place. So I wrote it down, and I'm going to put a link in the description below after this to the source that I got. So, all right, I'll give you just. I'm going to use my little computer here, and you won't see it, but I'm going to lose this screen. I'm going to go to another screen, and I'm just going to read you a little something about this is what you got to pay attention to if your wing is contaminated. Okay. Now this is from. It is from what's it called? Okay, it's talking about the clean aircraft concept. Okay, and when it's the clean aircraft concept is it's basically you can't have anything on your wing. But from section 14 of that, I'll just read it. It's right from Transport Canada. The combination of reduced lift and increased weight can have crucial safety consequences, even with small amounts of ice or snow. Okay, now this is where the number came from that I was thinking about. Test data indicates that during takeoff, frost, ice, or snow formations having a thickness and surface roughness similar to medium or coarse sandpaper on the leading edge and upper surface of a wing can reduce wing lift by as much as 30% and increase drag by 40%. So, and then it goes on a bit more. Thicker or rougher frozen contaminants can have increasing effects on lift, drag, stall speed, stability, and control. And it significantly increases your stall speed when that happens. Okay, back to my other little screen here. Yeah, so I was looking over here in my paint box, and I got out some sandpaper. Okay, so I'm going to go back and check exactly what it does. Okay, so it says medium or coarse sandpaper. So your medium sandpaper would be 80 grit. So this is just some really cheap dollar store crapola. And it's got some French on there too because it's Canadian, but it's 80 grit sandpaper. So you feel that. What's that like? Okay, somewhere around that, or your coarse grit sandpaper. This is your 60 grit, and you feel that. What's that like? Okay, so if I got frost and it feels like that, then that means that my lift is down 30%, my drag's increased 40%. So, not a good situation to be in. And so, I would say if you're in the desert and you got sand on your wing, I would probably, if it feels that rough, maybe hit it with a hose and wash it off. So, oh, and dude, I see you here, dude. And Wrench and Dan, hi. So, yeah, so you can have wings contaminated with things other than just ice. And if you are flying, say you're flying a jet or you're a passenger, you really don't have to worry about this too much. This is kind of a piloty show here today. You might see in the wintertime you're flying on your jet somewhere, you're going down to Florida for March break, and they're spraying this orange goo all over the place and green goo all over the place. That's okay. That's that's the proper color of goo for that type of ice, and you'll be in good shape. The airlines do a lot of. They have a lot of procedures regarding de-icing airplanes, and they never take off with contaminated wings. But this is kind of more for the private pilot or the student pilot, or someone who owns a maybe a smaller aircraft company, flying school or whatever, charter company. So yeah, so it wouldn't hurt to kind of check it out if you're thinking there's some frost on there, or dried up mud. Is it as thick as some coarse 60 grit sandpaper? Might even not be a bad idea to just have some lying around it. I think that'd be a really good thing. I never did it when I was teaching, but now I was thinking, that'd be a good thing just to have around the flying school. If you're teaching the ground school and they're talking about the clean aircraft concept, yeah, bring some sandpaper in for your training aids. Have it lying around at the dispatch desk, and when someone says, "Oh yeah, should I clean off the wings?" and they're like, "I don't know. Feel that? Does that feel like your frost?" Yes. Okay, you shouldn't be flying. Okay, and basically you got to get it all off. And hey, Shecky, I see you popping in. So yeah, it's that's the answer to contamination. You don't want that stuff, like if it feels like sandpaper. Then another thing that got me thinking was I've seen some pretty ratty old airplanes flying around, and maybe if they're sitting around outside uncovered for years, the aluminum wings, I mean, they don't really corrode that much, but you could see a lot of planes, the paint's not looking too great on the wing, especially if it's a like a high wing airplane and someone's shorter. They might never really see it too much unless they're putting gas in it. So you might want to even check out your paint job on your airplane if it's old. Does it feel rough like 60 grit sandpaper? Then that's the same as frost, So you might want to take a lighter sandpaper, knock some of that loose paint off of it, and there you go. So yeah. So what we can do here next is, I did a show about icing, how it builds up on the wing. And a little bit about that. I'm going to see if I can do, like, at the end of the video, I'll put this, they call it a card or something, and it'll say, for more information, check out this video. So stick around to the end. That'll be up there. I'll experiment with that. And then, so I'm going to tell you a little story today, boys and girls. It's not really a happy ending, but it's something for this time of year. If you're going to be flying from where I am in Windsor, maybe you want to fly down to Florida in your little airplane. There was a plane. I'm going to keep it kind of anonymous out of respect for the people that died in the crash, but there was, and I've kind of heard this through the grapevine a little bit more after the transport NTSB in the States did a investigation on the plane accident, where there was a few people that didn't quite make it. But they were flying back from Florida, or was it? Yeah, we'll say Florida. It was somewhere else, but we'll say Florida. And so what they found was that it was where they were flying was actually clear blue sky. It was looking just fine. And they had to fly a little bit out of the way to avoid, there was some pretty big thunderstorms that were off in the distance. And so they said, okay, we're staying away from there. We're going to be nice and safe, and we're going to fly. And I don't know exactly how far away they were. It was 10, 20 miles away. It was pretty far. And what happened was that they were flying in like perfectly good weather, but they started picking up some clear ice. Now, what happened was, generally in North America, the winds kind of come from west to east. So let's just say I'll draw a little plane here. Here we are. There's the plane. They're flying back up to Canada from Florida. And there was a big thunderstorm, maybe like, I think it was like a line or a front. We'll say it was a front. Yeah, we'll make it look all fronty. Oh, I could use blue for that. Well, we'll just use it black. So here we go. Let's make it a cold front. All right. Cold front has the little shark teeth on it. It looks like icicles, kind of. There we go. There's our cold front. So these guys, they thought, okay, we'll be safe. We're going to go over here. But maybe that's going the wrong way. It could be a retreating or advancing front, whatever. So we'll just say this is where all your bad weather was, all your clouds, thunderstorms, everything like that. So they said, okay, we're going to fly over here and avoid it. But some of these clouds, if they're thunderstorms, they can get right up to 30,000 feet, 50,000 feet if it's a monster storm. So once you get your okay, so you get all this storm stuff, and it's going up, like really high up in the air, and now maybe on the ground it wasn't freezing, but as you go up, it gets colder. So now we got all this cold air cooling everything off, and we're creating super cooled water droplets, and up she goes. And now you got your upper winds that are really high, and that blew all that mist and water over towards the airplane that was miles and miles away. But it just kind of, it kind of went up. We'll do a side view here of our storm. Storms kind of grow up like a big, I don't know, big mushroom cloud tree type thing. There we go. And there's my storm. But yeah, so if the wind is going this way, this might be, I don't know, we'll say it's at 40,000 feet. And you got your airplane flying down here. Okay, I don't know. That looks like the end of an airplane. And maybe this is, I think they were down at like 7,000 maybe. We'll say 7,000 feet. 7,000 feet. Okay, so what happened was all this rain, it went up really high, and then it kind of blew over this way. And so these guys were flying. It might have been warm on the ground. I think it was above zero on the ground, but at the level, they were above what they call the freezing level. So their airplane was frozen below zero or below freezing. And here's a bunch of water getting dropped on it, and it started building up. And they're in beautiful sunny day. You don't expect ice to be building up on a beautiful sunny day, but it's coming from miles away. So that it kind of, it built up on them. And if you ever have clear ice building up on your plane, it builds up extremely fast. And if your airplane, if it has a wing that's white, you won't notice it. Let's say it's a low wing airplane. If it's white, you won't notice the ice building up on it as much. And so it's I don't know if they had that, but I've seen freezing rain just starting to pop onto starting to build up on a wing on a plane that I was flying. It was like kind of a dark navy blue wing, and it would just sit there, and it would kind of streak back on the wing, and it wouldn't evaporate. It would just stay there. And I'm like, ooh, got some ice. Let's get back to the airport. And if you catch it right away, it's you can get down into lower temperatures and it melts off. I've had to do that before. But if you don't notice it building up, it can build up extremely quickly. And it's not just building up on your wing, it's building up on your propeller. It's building up on, all the surfaces of the plane, increasing drag, increasing weight, reducing lift. And apparently, this, from what I heard, if I remember correctly, when the wreckage was found, they had the throttle was all the way forward, so they had full power and couldn't maintain up in the air. So if you are going to be flying this time of year, word to the wise, don't be the guy here. Pay attention to where your upper winds are. If you're flying around at your in your little airplane, you're not going up to 40,000 feet, but you might not be if you're in the vicinity of a thunderstorm. Check out the really high winds. That's that other place you click on the internet and find those. See where it's going, and imagine yourself maybe in that scenario, and hopefully you can avoid it. Another thing that would avoid that is if you're flying below the freezing level, and then your airplane would be, even if it got some water that was cold landing on your plane, well, your plane would melt it off. So, anyways, there we go. Yeah, so just a little recap there. If you got your coarse sandpaper, which is 60 grit sandpaper, that is what you got to watch out for, because if that happens, you lose 30% of your lift, and you're going to increase your drag by 40%. And I have flown in an airplane that wasn't, I kind of made I wouldn't say a mistake, or I guess it would be bad judgment, that I did fly. Though I don't think it was quite that bad. I thought it was okay, but I got up in the air, and you can really tell the difference. It was in a Cessna 172. You can definitely tell the difference if there's some frost on your wing like that. And it's not fun because you're flying around and like, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. Let's give a little more power here. I'm a test pilot. I don't know what my stall speed is now. And that's not a fun way to fly. I did that once. Never again. So, anyways, learn from my mistake, learn from other people's mistakes, because we can't fly long enough to learn all the mistakes on our own. And yeah, so that's about it. I'm glad you guys came by here today. Good to see you, dude. And yeah, we'll see if I don't think we got any questions in here. Oh, okay. Wrench brought up a point there too, that there are some planes, the Rutan Voyager and the Rutan Q2. Yeah, we're bad in the rain, losing lift. Yeah, I would say if you had a really, really slick, slippery, experimental or home built, how do we call it? Amateur built airplane here in Canada, experimental in the States. Yeah, some of these real slippery, slick airplanes, they determine, yeah, they must have like very, very clean wings. Like even with the what is it, the Diamond Katana, that's got the DA-20 Katana, it's a carbon fiber wing, and it's just like yeah, you don't want anything on that. And from what I've heard, it's just, yeah, those really slippery airplanes, you even be even more careful with them. Good point, Wrench. And okay, so that's about it. And it's kind of funny that I'm talking about freezing rain and stuff, because right now we got some freezing rain outside, and it's going to be kind of a little bit of a miserable day today out there, but at least oh well, hey, I knocked off my live stream again, so there we go. Today is Monday. Okay, so hope y'all had a good weekend, and you're back here all in one piece. So yeah, I'll just kind of leave it at that. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description below to the Transport Canada site where I got my numbers from, just so you know I'm not just pulling them out of my head and or anywhere else. And then yeah, so we'll just kind of shut her down. I'll be back on Wednesday, because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern, and we'll just kind of shut her down. So thank you for watching. Bye.